I got a new camera bag. I gotta figure out how to put all this stuff inside this thing. Ugh. What's up YouTube? My name is John Jackson and obviously we're talking about a camera bag today. I just got the Peter McKinnon nomadic travel camera bag and obviously we're not traveling, but I wanted to share with you everything that I am typically gonna have with me on a shoot or bring to YouTube videos or anything like that. Yes, this bag is very big. Yes, it is very travel focused, but I typically like to have a lot of things. So let's go into everything I bring with me all around to do the video content. The first thing we need to talk about inside a camera bag is obviously the camera itself. What camera am I using? Well, I'm using the Sony A9. It is a full frame mirrorless camera body, 24.2 megapixels, and it is, yes, I guess an older camera. I believe came out in April 2017, something like that, or maybe November 2017, something like that. And it has a lot of amazing features: 4K up to 30 frames, 120 frames, and 60 frames in HD. It can do amazing photos in burst mode up to 20 frames per second. Yeah, this camera is an absolute beast. The only downside is it does not have log or picture profiles, so we are eagerly waiting the Sony A7S III, even though that Canon R5 does look real good right about now as of April 2020. After that, I bring some lenses. What lenses do I bring? Well, the camera lenses that I have with me at all times are four. I bring four. The main bread and butter one is my 16 to 35 millimeter f2.8 G Master lens. Yes, it is very expensive, but I can assure you that this lens, I could be happy with just this one lens and get a lot done with it. It has a lot of amazing looks as far as the focal range, really wide with 16 millimeter. It's great for vlogging, or 35 millimeter if I need to do interviews or something like that. I believe I'm shooting at 35 millimeter right now, so let me know how this looks at 35, and then everything in between. Another plus of having a full frame Sony body is you can swap between crop sensor mode and full frame mode, and it'll effectively turn this lens into a 24 to 52 millimeter lens. So I have a lot of wiggle room with this lens. The 16 to 35 is easily my go-to 99% of the time. The second lens I keep on me at all times is a 90 millimeter macro lens. This lens allows me to get those close-up detail shots of things like toys or food or anything like that. I'll be doing a review on this lens and why you should probably have a macro lens in your setup very, very soon, but I highly recommend it. The minimum focus distance is really short. Get those subjects to fill up the entire frame. You get some amazing looks with this. After that, I will typically have with me 2 primes, or sometimes I'll downgrade and go down to 1 prime, but those primes are either my 55 millimeter f1.8 by Zeiss. This lens is incredibly sharp. It's great for portraits, and it's not so long as far as focal length where your subject fills up the entire frame, so you can get some more environmental portraits as well. This lens is awesome. After that, if I really need a portrait lens where I want that subject to really fill up the frame, get some really good looking headshots, the 85 millimeter prime. It is about $600, f1.8, amazing in low light. This lens is, I use this all the time as well. And for a video, it looks so good. The compression you get in that bokeh is just buttery. So 4 lenses in my camera bag: 16 to 35, 90 millimeter macro, 55 millimeter prime, 85 millimeter prime. After that, audio equipment. What do I use? I use the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus right here. And what I love about this microphone is it hooks up to my DSLR just fine, and if I need to do something quick, I can worry about getting things straight into camera and not have to worry about having external recorders and whatever else. After that, I will always have the Sennheiser AVX lavalier system on me, because if I ever need to follow around an interviewee at, say, a convention or a wedding or something like that, this kit allows me to lav up the person who I need the audio from exclusively and get really, really crisp, clean audio. On top of that, I will Also, always have extra clips for the lavalier because they are expensive, they easily fall off, and if you're in the middle of a wedding or a shoot at a convention and you don't have a way to rig it up, it makes things a little annoying. But that's what gaff tape is for. If you lose one, you can always use gaff tape, but I highly recommend just having the clips. It's much easier and looks way more professional. As far as measuring your audio and making sure that your levels are in check, I always have a pair of old Apple headphones on me. These came with my old iPhone many years ago, and they come in clutch. They're small, they don't take up a lot of space, they sound pretty good. If I need to do something a little bit more intensive with sound design, I will typically have another pair of headphones that is a little bit beefier, but these, when I'm out shooting and I want to stay inconspicuous, they work great. Most people have Apple headphones anyway, so no one is gonna stop you unless you're wearing like these big earmuffs and this giant camera. You're gonna be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. This is legal, I promise. I have permits. All right, let's talk about filters. What's cool about this camera bag and my Kickstarter tier reward thing is a lot of the cases that it came with. So inside the filter case, I keep with me 4 filters. Let's give that an unzip. How's that sound? Okay, so the first filter I have on me is the Peter McKinnon 2 to 5 stop ND filter, variable ND filter, and this just allows me to have a shallower depth of field during the day, bring that f-stop number lower so that I can get that shallow depth of field and bokeh with my video shots because of the 180 rule. If you need to shoot video, it is typically advised to have a shutter speed that is double your frame rate. After that, I will have 2 Polar Pro regular neutral density filters on me, and these are a 64 PL and an 8 PL, I believe a 10 stop and a 6 stop. I will correct that on the screen, but basically I keep these in my camera bag in case I want to do some long exposure photography, so get some blurry sort of motion in my shot, say like of a waterfall or anything like that. The last filter I have on me is something from my 85. It's just a 67 millimeter thread polarizer, and I will throw this on my 85 if I want to control the highlights a little bit more. I actually don't use this one all that much, so it might get shelved, but sometimes it's really nice if I'm doing portraits and I'm getting a bunch of glare and all of that. Afterwards, inside my Peter McKinnon filter case, I will have step-up rings, and these allow me to basically take my 82 millimeter thread filters and put them onto my smaller thread lenses like my 55, my 85, so I don't have to have a bunch of different ND filters. And then I will always keep microfiber cloth inside wherever my filters are, just so that I can give them a clean when I need to. All right, moving down the line, we're on to lighting now. And lighting, how are you bringing lights with you in your camera bag? Well, what I love about this little accessory case that the bag comes with is I can throw in a bunch of my little lights that actually come in clutch. If you notice in the background here, I got some new lume cubes, which I will talk about very, very soon. But I normally keep one of those inside my camera bag, and now it is going to live inside this accessory case. And these are great for getting that rim light for interviews. These lume cubes are crazy strong. And I also keep with me an aperture light. This is an amazingly powerful light. And what's cool about it is it can go from cool to warm, and this also comes in super clutch if I need to light a scene for interviews, have some practical lights in the background, or do some toy photography. Having little lights like this are awesome. The other little light I keep in my camera bag, I have these small little LED wristband things from Spiffy, and one of them is RGB, and you can change the colors of it, and you can also, if you hold the effects button, it will do some cool effects with it as well, cycling through different colors or like a strobe thing or whatever else. This is great for like a practical light for your toy photography, so I will keep these in my camera bag. And then the last thing that's inside this accessory case is my Edelkrone skater. And this is a cool little tool. If I need to get like a slider shot or a really cinematic, steady movement and I don't want to bust out my gimbal, I can put my camera on this thing, bust out the wheels, and basically have my camera turn into a race car and like push it down a table and whatever else. The unfortunate part is you do need a stable, steady, flat surface for this, but this comes in really awesome if you're working at like a dining table, or I haven't done this yet, but I have a couple ideas for breweries when social distancing lifts, and rather than having to bring a giant slider kit, I can just use this guy for short little Instagram videos. So the skater, awesome, and it's great for toy photography right now, would probably be amazing for food. Just haven't tested that out yet. Then the last thing I keep inside this accessory case is just a lot of my wires. So I typically have 2 of each cable inside my camera bag throughout. Inside the accessory case, I keep 1 of each, so that is a USB-C to USB-C, a USB to USB 2, a USB-C to a USB. Just, yeah, cables. They're not the most fun thing in the world, but I keep 2 on me because sometimes I'll have friends or colleagues who they might not have enough chargers and we need to charge camera batteries or dump footage or something like that, and having extra cables is useful. I love being that guy who just has a solution for a lot of the technical things at a shoot. So, yeah. Inside this accessory case is lighting and cables, basically. So one fun thing, one less fun thing, but this is super, super handy to have everything organized. So if I'm doing toy photography, I can just be like, here we go, let's do this. Here's all my lights. Next thing I always have on me is a camera remote. Now, I do have the Sony remote, but sometimes the battery just gives out on me. So I always keep this other Pixel Pro remote on me, and this is super useful for doing stop motion, or if you're doing, say, toy photography and you need to do some compositing with multiple images, you just have the remote and you don't touch the camera. Even if you have a timer release button on your camera, you might get some micro movements if you are trying to do some matte painting or compositing or whatever else. So I highly recommend having a remote so you can get a shot that is identical between multiple frames in case you need to do some cool, fun stuff. This remote stays on me at all times. And then lastly, I keep a real big aux cable extension cord, so then if I have to do interviews. And then for my Edelkrone slider, I always have an extra shutter release cable in here because this camera bag always goes with me. But sometimes I'm doing some stuff at home with my Edelkrone slider, and I'll put the release cable in a different bag and then lose that bag, or not lose it, but misplace the cable. And yeah, so this stays in this camera bag no matter what. Another really good thing to have inside your camera bag is storage space. So I would typically have these Samsung 2 terabyte or 1 terabyte SSDs. They're super durable, and this is what I will edit off of if I'm traveling on my laptop. And then I will also have a Leica hard drive, and this will be my backup. So if I am recording for a day and I fill up a card, hypothetically, then I will dump to this, and then I will also dump to this. So I have 3 points of redundancy, and then I will switch cards. I won't format that card unless I'm running out of card space. Then I will go back to the first card, make sure I have the footage onto these hard drives and that they are perfectly fine and not dead, and then I will dump footage. So 2 hard drives on me, 1 for backup, 1 for editing. Camera cleaning supplies are also a big must for your camera bag. So I will typically have this little like rocket blower thing, and this is great for getting dust off your sensor. If there is a really gnarly piece of dust on your sensor, go get it professionally cleaned, but this will get you most of the way there 99.9% of the time. A lens brush is also super useful. In fact, there's one little speck right there. So lens brushes are useful, and then I typically have like 3 or 4 microfiber cloths just scattered throughout my camera bag in different spots. And I know where all of them are. This lives on the front little pouch on the front of my bag. So then if I am running and going, but I have my backpack on me, I have it just still right there. Also, what I'll normally do is have like a pocket full of all this stuff anyways. So Inside of the front pocket of the bag, one of the things I will always keep in there is gaff tape and other camera accessories that aren't super expensive, easily replaceable, but very, very useful 99% of the time. So other things I'll keep there include a color correction card, and because I'm colorblind, this is really good for checking my white balance on my camera, and I'll make a tutorial of that at some point. But you have the color side, and then you have the gray and white cards there. And then another great tool is a multi-tool. So this little multi-tool by Small Rig is super useful because it allows me to have basically all the tools you would ever need for like a tripod or camera mounts or whatever else in one tool. And what's cool about it is because it's so small, it'll typically allow you to bring this on planes and whatever else. So this multi-tool is super useful. It's by Small Rig. For stabilization, I'll typically use my DJI Ronin S. Unfortunately, this bag is big enough where I can put this into the front flap where you would put your clothes and all that. So if I really need my gimbal, I can have it there. And then if I don't want to bring my gimbal, if I want to pack small, but I still want some sort of camera stabilization, I absolutely love the Peak Design camera strap. And this camera strap is super useful because you can have the little attachments attached to the camera, the little circular things that clip in, and then you can have 3 points of contact, hold that camera tight, and get a little bit stabler shots instead of just having your wobbly hands. So I love this camera strap, and this lives in the front where I pack most of my clothes, or will be packing most of my clothes. After that, we have the camera cube. So the camera cube is the extra camera backpack that comes inside the camera bag. It's the smaller backpack, and that lives at the top of the bag for me. And right in here, I will have my batteries. So I will have 6 batteries on me at all times. Typically, if I'm doing like a weekend shoot and I'm shooting a lot, I'll go through about 1.5 batteries a day. I do try and limit it to 1 camera battery a day, and all those live inside the battery pack. And what's really cool about what comes with the camera bag itself is it has little stickers that you can put on your camera batteries in the shape of a skull, the Peter McKinnon skull. And the way they recommend using those is when your camera battery is dead, put them face up inside the battery pouch so that you know which camera batteries are dead and you're not cycling through a big bag of messy batteries and, oh, this battery's alive, this battery's dead, etc. So 6 batteries on me. After that, SD cards. SD cards also lives in the camera cube. I will typically use the SanDisk 256 gigabyte cards. I never ever fill up 256 gigabytes, but I hate formatting cards, so I always have extra space and I'll just cycle through them, and then once I finish a project, then I will format the card. I never have 2 projects on one card at any one point, and what I mean by project is client work. Sometimes YouTube stuff will live across multiple cards just because things get full, but overall I use those 256 gigabyte cards most of the time. And then inside the camera itself right now is a Sony 128 gigabyte 300 write speed, and that's for my faster card if I ever need to do like sports photography or like really fast burst mode shots, and I just don't have a whole lot of time to switch between cameras or wait for buffering. I just need something fast. So camera charger, I use the Numoa camera charger for my Sony batteries. It is the third-party one because it can charge 2 batteries at once, and even though it's a little bit slower than the Sony one, it still charges 2 batteries faster than having to switch out, and plus I don't need to switch out 2 camera batteries on that charger. Then I will keep a small little iPhone charger in this camera pouch, and then a little plug cube thing so I can plug in my phone, plug in the camera battery charger, or whatever else. I have a little bag here that's full of tools from Peak Design, and on the Peak Design thing, you also have the little attachments for your camera. I keep these in here just in case I ever need to get another camera to my camera strap. And then in here, this little bag as well, I have either batteries or little Allen wrenches, stuff like that. And then I have the weather seal case because you never know when it's gonna rain. The unfortunate downside about this is that it is a little big, so I need to find a better solution for this. And then always recommend snacks. Snacks are a must-have, and here's why. If you're ever at a shoot and you're hungry, your quality of work is gonna go down. So highly recommend having snacks. I recommend something with protein because it'll keep you fuller for a little bit longer. I enjoy the Cliff Builder protein bars because they taste like candy and they are very, very satisfying, almost a meal replacement. Now, there is one extra thing I keep inside my camera bag, two extra things rather. The first one that is perhaps the most important thing of all inside this camera bag. I'll leave you a second to guess, but ready? Ready? What's this? This is an extra contact lens. In fact, I have two extra contact lenses in here. Two extra contact lenses, and this is perhaps the most crucial thing inside my camera bag because if I can't see, I'm not going to be able to shoot photos. So I have a little story to tell you. I was at a shoot one day and I got bumped into and I lost my left contact lens, so I was just running on the right, and I have a hard time sort of closing I can wink with my right eye, but winking with my left eye is kind of hard. So yeah, that wasn't a fun shoot. We got it done and everything looked fine, but it was a little annoying. Normally I will keep extra glasses in my camera bag as well, because if you can't see, you can't shoot photos. And then the last extra thing I keep inside my camera bag is, drumroll, actually it's on display right now, so I gotta grab that, but it's gonna live back in my camera bag. I'll typically bring with me something to shoot. If I'm bored and just need something to do, if we're waiting around, because sometimes just video life is standing by to stand by, I'll have a little action figure with me. So I'm on a big Halo kick right now, so I have the Master Chief little action figure by McFarlane Toys. If you haven't checked out my little toy film about this guy in the Grand Canyon, here's the card for it. I highly recommend checking it out. I had a lot of fun making it. But yeah, I'll keep this guy inside my camera bag so if I'm just bored, I can be like, oh, I'm just gonna take this guy, maybe pretend I'm 5 and have him like, fight the cover and then pew, 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 pew. Or I will take some photos of this guy just because sometimes be like, hey, you want to do some headshots? Most people don't want to stand in front of a camera, but this guy will never talk back. So, yeah. And finally, if you've made it this far, that's it. That's everything I have in my camera bag as of late. Right now I'm doing a lot of toy photography, so I actually am not doing a ton of travel, but this bag basically has everything I would need in it. It's pretty big and it's a lot of stuff, but I bring this to YouTube video shoots or commercial stuff, and 99% of the time it gets the job done. If we have extra things that we need to, like we need sliders or bigger tripods or bigger lights, obviously I will bring other stuff, but if I'm just running and gunning, doing convention coverage, this is such a useful kit to have. So that's it, and I think it's also worth mentioning that all this stuff was accrued over many, many years of practice and getting more video work and some reckless purchases and whatever else, but I didn't get all of this all at once, so just thought that was worth mentioning. That's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. All the links for this stuff will be in the description of this video. And yeah, until next time, my name is John Jagsney. I appreciate you sticking around and watching my watching my face, and I recommend that you eat your protein. In fact, 1 gram per pound of body weight. But that's it. I'm not gonna close you guys out. Master Chief is gonna close you guys out. Ready? Ready, Master Chief? What do you say? Finish the fight. Ha. 'Cause that's what he says at the end of the Halo 2 trailer. Alright. Bye everyone. Bye.